introduction, and thank you very much for the invitation coming here to the world famous Wingate Institute. I believe it's a very good opportunity to exchange experiences, knowledges, and so on. And my schedule for the next 3 hours, only 20 minutes. I would like to give you some information about the German Olympic Sports Confederation, especially about our qualification system. And then I will focus to coach education, current developments, national and international as well. And I believe you will see that some of the steps you have introduced here in Israel also quite the same problems, or whatever we say about that, and sometimes also troubles we have in Germany. Some remarks to my person. I'm a director of the Coaches Academy in Cologne since 2004, immediately before the Olympics in Athens. I started my job in Cologne. Before that time, I was 8 years director of the German Field Hockey Federation. Field hockey, we could see also in a very closed discipline, also in the Maccabi Games. German teams were also there, and I believe it's also a very good field for cooperation and so on. I think, especially the young colleagues, they know field hockey. Who's in touch with field hockey? Nobody. Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. You have to introduce the education in field hockey. It's a program here at the Wingate Institute, but no, it's your task. The first thing, if you want to construct if you want to construct a strong high performance system, it's a very complex question, and I can recommend a book published by Berlite Boscher, a colleague from Dutch. She has written with her colleagues the book The Global Sporting Arms Race, and they made an international comparative study of sport policy and which factors are leading to success. This is a question, of course, for the sports federations, I believe also in Israel and in Germany as well. And if you can see here on the right side, there are several fields of action which are important to have success as a system. That means in a kind of sport, in a discipline, or as a whole high performance system. Of course, money plays an important role. Schlomo has also spoken about that. It's quite the same in Germany and in other countries, of course. But there are also several other fields of activities which are necessary to get success. For instance, pillar 4, talent identification, talent development systems. Also a very, very interesting and very sometimes crucial point is the system of athletic post-career support. Very, very important, we think. And also the approach which was mentioned by Shlomo, bringing athletes to coaches is also, I believe, a good approach for that. Of course, also scientific research, science, very important for successful coaches and also for coach education. International competition, extremely important. You have to make international competition with your top athletes. Without any international competition at a very high level, I believe it's not possible to have success, for instance, in 8 years or whatever. And training facilities also very important if you want to develop ski jumpers. Of course, you need special facilities for that, and also in other kinds of discipline. And our job, coaching, coach development, coaching provision, very important. It's not so easy to construct such a good working system, but it's necessary. Some information about our situation in Germany. Yesterday I was asked by a young colleague of you, Cologne, where is it located? Cologne, you can see here the map of Germany, is the most important place for the high performance sport in Germany. It was a joke. Cologne is in the west of Germany, but we have located in Cologne the sports university. Professor Mittag has spoken yesterday. We have the Coaches Academy in Cologne. We have Olympic Training Center in Cologne. We have the Federal Institute of Sports Science in Bonn. It's nearby Cologne, and this is our map here in Germany. We have more than 80 million people in Germany, 16 federal states, also a special condition. And for Germany, capital is Berlin, you know it. Okay. Some more information about the German Olympic Sports Confederation. In German, the DOSB is a non-governmental umbrella organization of the German sport. The DOSB is standing for performance, health, joy of living, and convenience of values. Very important. Tobias has also spoken about the Olympic values yesterday. This is also important for coach education. We have 27 million individual memberships in the German Olympic Sports Confederation, with more as 90,000 sports clubs in Germany. 101 member organizations, including some 16 regional sports confederations and national sports federations, NGBs or whatever you say about that. 66 and also some other. It's of course a little bit, sometimes it seems a little bit complicated or crucial, but this system is very well established in Germany. And now I look at the question of education. There is a differentiated system of qualification in Germany with more than 700 different training programs for education. They stand for high standards in basic, advanced and continuing training. Also the question you have spoken before, Shlomo has mentioned it, the question of further education. Lifelong learning is also for coaches, for everyone, also for you. When you have finished your study here at Wingate, it's important for your next steps, and you will ever learn every time, and it's important to deliver also some opportunities for that. In Germany, we have a framework for, we call it guidelines for qualification. This is, what should I say, a main document for the question of coach education in the 7th edition now. More than 580,000 persons have valid DOSB licenses, and every year 45 persons complete a license program. It's our situation in Germany. The question is now coach education. What does it mean? What have you for a picture in your mind about coach education? How is coach education to construct? How should it go? Is it set? Coach education? Another perspective. Everybody from the experts, I believe also you as students know the long-term athlete development models or long-term players development models, and the question is, what is the way getting success at an international level? The guy here on the right side, maybe you know it, Olympic champion in gymnastic competition, and we know that you need round about 10 years to go on the top level. It's of course only a rule. Maybe one of the athletes can reach in 8 years, maybe one is coming in 11 years or whatever. It's quite the same in, for instance, getting top performances in other kinds of for instance, musicians, or also in professions. you need time for that, and you need special conditions for that. You need programs. Of course, the very important thing is the motivation of the person who is going on the way. Without motivation, you have no chance. You have no chance. That means also you need a coach. You need a coach not as an instructor or whatever. You need a coach as teacher, and this is also, we believe, also a question for the coach development. Therefore, we have to ask also the question, when we speak about long-term athlete development, what about coaches? What about coaches? When you start your coaching career, you will also be in your first step a beginner. And what is necessary to give you the opportunities to go forward. Some remarks about coach education. The existing models for coach education, we can say in principle we have 3 primary models: craft, applied science, reflective learning. This is from colleagues from the United States who have published it in the Olympic Coach magazine. By the way, it's very interesting to read it, also, or especially for young colleagues. You can read it via internet. I believe they publish 3 or 4 editions per year. These 3 primary models, of course, also important for that what we do in Germany. And now I will come back to our guidelines for qualifications. This is the model here for Germany, and you can see several strengths for education. You can see several levels for education, and what we have tried to do is to make the education strengths at several levels comparable. And that means, for instance, we start also in the coach education under the umbrella of the German Olympic Sports Confederation as a part of the non-formal education system in Germany. We start in the first level with the coach license level C with 120 learning units. 120 learning units. The next level, the level B with 60 learning units, and the third level, level A, with 90 learning units. This is the minimum. This is the minimum, and this is a step-by-step qualification under the responsibility of each federation. That means, for instance, the Judo Federation has specialists. They are responsible for coach education in judo, also in hockey, in soccer, or whatever. And this is the guideline for our structure, and this is a step-by-step qualification. If you want to get the license A, you have to fulfill the license C and B education. And between the several levels, you have to work in practice. And our field of coach education is here, the strength. Trainer for competitive sport. This is a sport-specific education program. That means, of course, we need general use for education. You need knowledge in training theory, you need knowledge in physiology, in psychology, or whatever. But you need, as coach in your sport, specific knowledges and experience. And about the diploma coach education here in the 4th level, Frank will speak following. Okay, in this focus of our coach education system in Germany is not the question of content and knowledge. The question is, we want to educate action competence. Action competence for coaches, that means personal and social communicative competencies, specialized competencies, that means sport-specific competencies. You need methodological and mediation competence and strategic competence. This is an approach which is also usual in other fields of education, also in the field of formal education, with in Europe with the Bologna process, you know, the introduction of bachelor and master programs and so on. And the question of education are also in that formal system very important. This is our approach here in Germany. When we have the question, you want to become a good coach, a successful coach, of course there are several pathways possible. Of course, you can go as experience, you can collect licenses. Of course, also degrees are very important, but it's not all. It's not all. We saw in Germany, especially in the coach education in the Coaches Academy, we have tried to change the perspective. The perspective for education normally or often is oriented at the sports scientific disciplines. And about this model will be constructed some education program, and we ask the question, how does a coach learn? How does a coach learn? And this is an important change of views, the coach as learner. And also Shlomo, obviously he had this idea in his mind, and we have not spoken before said about it. He has this in his solutions for the next time. A very interesting article was published some years before, gaining insight into actual and preferred sources of coaching knowledge. And the question here is from Canadian coaches, was from these Canadian coaches. I believe 44 coaches were involved in this scientific study. These coaches were asked, please, which sources of knowledge are for your actual activities most important. 7 possibilities, as you can see here: learning by doing, print material, electronic material. It's a third national coaching certification program, other opportunities, clinics or whatever. Observe others, interact with others, and also the question of mentoring. It can be for coaches important, and you can see that most of the coaches said my most important resource or source of knowledge is learning by doing. Learning by doing, and also interact with others, and also this national certification program is important. And the next question was, what would be ideal? What would be the best way? And the coaches say, you can see on the left side, learning by doing, a little bit down. Maybe the coaches said, I know when I will learn only by doing, I make mistakes, and I would like to make not so many mistakes. What also is very clear, very high expectations regarding the coach education programs. I believe also here at Wingate or in Israel or whatever, and also the question working with mentors and acting together. We have done in Germany quite the same scientific studies with our coaches, and you can see quite the same situation in Germany. What we know in the last 2 years, the approach working together, producing opportunities to reflect the own activities are very important. This is also what we try to do with our program here. Of course, learning in the classroom, here in the level, this is for instance our classroom in Cologne. It's important. Interact with others here. Athletic coaches, very famous former athletes from athletics and also jumping, and also interacting with others. Very important. Very important. We try to arrange such opportunities, and what you have to know is a very, very international, very wide discussed model is the 70-20-10 rule for learning. It's produced by the Creative Center of Leadership in the United States, and they say 10% of that what you learn is based on the classroom education, 20% mentoring and coaching, and 70% learning on the job, learning experience. What we try to do is to combine it at the Coaches Academy and also in the coach education with the Federation, to combine it. Of course, come together with scientific specialists, with top scientists in the coach education, but we also try to arrange opportunities to get more experience in the field of practice. And we at the Coaches Academy have said we try to help to educate a reflective learner. The coach as reflective learner, he must have scientific knowledge, of course, and he must be able to reflect his own activities on a scientific base. And this is what we do now. I see the time is going on. We have also, of course, a look at international developments in Europe and international. Also, Shlomo has mentioned that some years before we have published a paper, Sport Coaching as Profession, as emerging profession in Europe and worldwide. What challenges and what future directions are important. Important, for instance, is to form the voice of the coaches. The voice of the coaches, therefore, also organizational framework how to develop, and Gerd will speak about that later on for our situation in Germany. And what also is interesting, I believe, the European Union has also discussed the role of the coaches, and in November 2017 there was published conclusions about the social role of coaches in the society. Very interesting. You can read this paper in the web, and they stress the social role of coaches are much, maybe, or sure, much more important than the role as instructor or whatever. The social role of coaches, not only in high performance sport, but also in grassroots and other disciplines, are very important. What we try to do is to contribute the development of professional coaching competencies with our approach. We try to substantiate and improve individual coaching behavior, and our task as coach educator, Coaches Academy or Federation or whatever it is, systematic organization of learning activities for coaches. Also in the question of lifelong learning. When a student has finished his study here in Cologne at the Coaches Academy, he has the duty to renew his license over a special period, and it's also important for a strong high-performance system. What we need, innovation, creativity, and other things. And Steve Jobs, he's not involved in our coach education program, but he said creativity is just connecting things. Just connecting things and connecting persons. And therefore also this seminar are very important for us, hopefully also for you. And what we have to do is relatively easy. Only this picture, and for that I will finish my presentation. What we need, my impression, is a critical leadership in this program. And this is the way we go in Germany, and I believe also in Israel. All the best for you, and many thanks for your attention.